Hey everybody, this is Sean from Fisker Audi,
Yeah, this is Jim from OSR Garage.
and we are live on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm going to start by pulling up the chat. So I'll kick it off by saying we're streaming live on YouTube, we're streaming live on Facebook, and we're streaming live on Twitter.
Yep.
And we're streaming also on the Fisker Audi account as well as the OSR Garage account. So we've got a lot of people who will see this tonight, and then who will see this into the future. So kind of exciting. Cool. So tonight's topic is what's up with the Fisker Ocean One. That's what's on everyone's mind, or at least a lot of our readers and some of your viewers as well, probably, Jim.
Yep, they're kind of wondering what's going on and how long they're going to be sending out these reservation, these questionnaires and emails and stuff like that, trying to figure out how many people are going to buy these things. I mean, it seems like they're going awful far to have to get 5,000, but yet they're saying they're getting all of this attention and it's going great and all this stuff. But I'm like, really? Are you guys going out 30, 40,000 people and you still don't have 5,000? What's the deal?
So let's look into this. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to look at a few things tonight. Let me go ahead and remove some of these things here, and I'm going to throw Jim and myself over here. Here we go. I'm starting to get the hang of this, but this is early in the show, so don't hold me to that. So here we go. Today is the day when Fisker actually sent the fourth wave of email invites to reservation holders to pre-order the Fisker Ocean One. And like you mentioned, Jim, the company says things are going exceedingly well or going good. But as you know, this is the fourth wave of emails now. And as of this afternoon, we're seeing reports of people receiving invites who reserved the Fisker Ocean as recent as May of this year.
Wow.
We've also seen some people who reserved in March and April and May too, who haven't received the invite. One of the people in the Fisker Audi forums ended up receiving this email, a gentleman by the name of Matthew. And it says, as one of our earliest reservation holders, we are excited to invite you to pre-order the launch edition Fisker Ocean One. This edition is limited to 5,000 vehicles worldwide and is expected to sell out quickly. So trying to put this into perspective, I think expectations were far greater than what is actually reality. Yeah. I think people expected them to sell out like, boom, day one, they're done.
Right.
But we're only 13 days into this. If you guys all remember, right? It started on July 1st, these pre-orders of the Fisker Ocean One. So it's not like we're, 13 weeks into this, we're 13 days into this.
Right.
So who knows exactly where the company is. I think I said earlier in a post or a video this week, I still think the company sells out of these sometime this week or next week. That's I'm sticking by that prediction. And it's just a prediction. I don't have any inside info, but I think that's kind of where we're going to be.
Yeah.
So this email, a lot of people got it, and kind of the two things in there. The person who received this, I believe they were an April reservation holder, and the verbiage is more or less the same as the one that I got back on July the 5th. So it still says, keywords in there, earliest reservation holder. This person was not so much an early reservation holder, I would say, if they reserved back in April. That's when you reserved, right, Jim?
Yeah, I was April 23rd, and I didn't get an email. Looking over here, Joe T, he said he was March 31st, and he ordered today.
There you go. So yeah, this morning when I initially started checking things out, I saw that most people who received the invites ended up being people who reserved in March, but as the day progressed, I started seeing more people then pop up in the month of April, in the month of May. So that's kind of interesting. I would say though that if I remember correctly, and I think I posted a video or wrote about it, some screenshots. Fisker ended up saying in step one, so it's like a 3-step process, and it's kind of a long 3-step process for those that have gone through it. Maybe they can, agree or disagree. But the process in step one, the first thing you had to do was put in your address, and Fisker needed to check availability to see, how many Fisker Ocean Ones are available in your region. And Fisker wasn't clear as to what a region is defined as. It could be North America, it could be Europe, it could be something as granular as Southern California, or the West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, at least for the United States. Right. So region could be a lot of different, things, a lot of different interpretations. So some people like you who are in the Midwest didn't get one. So maybe the Midwest has already sold out of their inventory, their availability for your region. Because somebody in Massachusetts today on Fiskerati forums, they got one. And then somebody today here in San Diego ended up receiving one as well. I think the person in Massachusetts pre-ordered. The person that I'm referring to in San Diego did not pre-order yet, still thinking about it, needing some additional information. So that's kind of where we are with the invites. And let me throw this up here on the screen. So if we go to, and you're probably familiar with this, we all probably have seen this. This is the chart that basically shows, when reservations were, placed per month since the inception of them. So it goes back to 2019, November 2019. And if we look at basically, it shows 50,000. That's as of the latest investor presentation that was posted online. So 50,000, that was June 8th, I believe is what it says. But I think Fisker actually mentioned it on the 2nd of June during their earnings call. But or Investor Day presentation, I should say, Investor Day presentation, annual shareholder conference. Okay, there we go. It's clicking now. But if we look here, it's going back to the 31st. We're at 40,000 reservations at the end of March, and then it jumps to 45,000 at the end of April, and then we go to 50,000. So we're basically nearing the end of the reservation queue.
Yeah. Well, Brave Fit Strong with Carla said they said if you want to go with the lease route, you have to not go with the Ocean One and get the Extreme Ultra Sport. So if people were planning on doing that lease route, that might have deterred some also.
Yeah, that Fisker Flexi lease won't be available until the end of 2023, from what Henrik Fisker said himself. So people will have to wait pretty much over a year in order to be a part of that program. And that Fisker actually hasn't even said what the lease option will be for anything other than the Sport. Right. The Sport's at $379 a month. So, I would imagine they're going to do leases for the Ultra and for the Extreme, but we don't know for certain.
There's another thing that I heard them say, and actually Henrik said this himself, that the right-hand drive cars won't be available until middle of next year.
Yeah, June of 2023 for England.
So now does that take them out of the running for the One? Or if they order a One, will it just not be built until the middle of next year?
It's the latter, actually. So if you order the One before they sell out the pre-orders and you happen to be based in the United Kingdom, you will end up receiving it as early, I believe, as June 2023, no later than September 2023. So that's how it's going to work. So that right-hand drive, regardless, is going to be June. And then if you're the Ocean One, pre-orderer, you would end up receiving it as early as June of next year, as late as September. Whereas people here in the United States and possibly other countries that have the left-hand drive, they'll receive them as early as we've been told, November of this year.
So the
And
other,
I actually one quick thing, Jim.
yeah,
I actually posted earlier this week, and maybe people have seen it. The Fisker Oceans that were sent over, the three of them
yeah,
from Graz, Austria, over at Magna, it took exactly 3 weeks for those vehicles to arrive here in the United States. And I think we were joking, or we were talking about, like, are they sent by car? Are they sent by boat? How
right,
are they sent? Well, however they're sent, Fisker ended up, from the point when Henrik said, "Hey, we were, these vehicles are being sent," to Fisker confirming vehicles have been, arrived, 3 weeks. So maybe it's going to take 3 weeks for vehicles to actually show up here in the States for the people that are ordering, stateside, like myself. So that was kind of interesting, I thought.
yeah. But what I was going to say was also about the
Yeah.
right-hand drive is that some of those people may have just decided I don't want to wait that long. Well, I guess no matter what they ordered, it wouldn't be till June, so I guess it really wouldn't matter whether they wanted the one. But maybe they figure if they're not to just to go ahead and wait for the extreme, not put the $5,000 down because they're not getting anything till June anyway.
Yeah. But
So
if they do put the money down, they would end up receiving the launch vehicle that has the
right,
special features on it, right?
right,
So it will show that they're the early backer of the company, as opposed to somebody who also could be an early backer of the company by ordering an extreme, but it won't have the resemblance on the vehicle that you were an early backer
right.
of the company. Yeah.
Boy, we got quite
So
the conversations going on over here.
yeah, what are people talking about? I actually haven't looked at that. That was my
Um,
downfall last week. I think I ended up
well,
having like 250 comments to go through at the last 30 minutes.
I will. I'll touch on a couple of them that I saw come through here. So somebody had made a comment about the difference between 390 miles in Europe is what they were saying, and
Hmm.
350 miles here. The 390 is the WLTP, I believe, which always, if you look at those numbers, they're always way high. I don't know where they come up with those numbers, but that's just how they rate it. I've heard that the Chinese, the way that they do theirs, is even worse than the WLTP. So that's where those two different numbers are coming in at. And then the other thing is they were asking about cars when they're going to be getting them to test the range and handling and stuff. And that is actually going to be done in Austria. They're going to be sending over media groups to go over there and test drive those things. Now they're not going to be testing range and things like that. I don't know how the EPA is going to handle it. Usually with new cars, first year cars, they actually do the testing themselves. Some of the bigger manufacturers, when they're just releasing the next year's car, it's not something new, but it's just the next year's car. They let the manufacturer do those tests, and then they send them into the EPA, and the EPA decides whether they want to go back and test it again or not. But usually with new cars, new versions or new cars, they will test those. So that's probably going to be after these three get done with whatever testing they're doing here with the driver assist stuff. I assume they'll do those tests also.
That's right. So, oh, that's interesting. So let's see here. I want to throw something up that's kind of fun on the screen, and I thought it was actually kind of interesting. So Fisker was asked just, I don't know, yesterday, maybe the day before, I think might have been the day before, around, how are pre-orders going with the Fisker Ocean One? And for those people who are on StockTwits, they would have seen this. For the people who aren't on StockTwits, they wouldn't have seen this. So I'm going to share this with you guys, and then I got a couple other things to share as well. So Fisker, I'm going to first show you what Fisker posted. It has nothing to do with the pre-ordering of the Fisker Ocean One. Here we are. It's his post on making the world's most sustainable car. And Fisker said they're going to actually release their extensive or their detailed ESG report in August after the earnings call in that's going to be next month. So then somebody ended up asking, well, how are we doing on the first 5,000 Fisker Ocean Ones, right? Tonight's show is all about what's going on with the Fisker Ocean One? Well, according to Henrik Fisker, that's how it's going. so that I think is I want to say it's Jesus. It's supposed to be somebody dressed up as Jesus, staring, looking like they're going good. So
or is it like, actually, oh my gosh, they're not buying them? No, I'm just.
I don't know. Maybe. I think it's excitement. Like, well, they're going good. So I thought that was kind of fun. Now we also have a load of people as well. So I posted something in our forums. I don't know, earlier this. I think it was last week on the 7th. And it was a poll. I was just curious, how many people in the Fiskerati forums are coming along with me on this journey? And as of today, it looks like it's this minute, it's 83 people in the Fiskerati forums have pre-ordered a Fisker Ocean One. And last I looked, there was 313 people who are registered members of the site. It's not a lot of people, but what I think is interesting is now over 25% of the people, I think it's like 26, maybe 27-ish% of the people that are a part of that are actually Ocean One pre-orderers. So I thought that was interesting. That's a high number. And as you can see, of the people, there's also a good portion of people who haven't pre-ordered, 24, and then 9 people are still undecided. So as far as like percentages go, that's really high. But obviously, if you translate that percentage, if we were to say 25% of 50,000, well, Fisker would have already been sold out of the Ocean One. And as you know, they're not. But I thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit.
Yeah. I didn't actually see that poll.
Yeah, I did one today as well. Let me pull that one up. I did another one. I do so many polls throughout the day. We're going to the pool, we're going to the beach, we're doing all sorts of things, and I find the time to just post something so that we can talk about it later. So let's go ahead and look at this one here. Let me throw this one up. So this one didn't really have that much traction. This one's on Twitter. And we ended up asking people, we actually asked people 2 things. Whoa, I just pulled up the video there. That's interesting. Okay, so here's, let me share my screen in just 1 minute. I don't want you to have to look at all the stuff. There's going to be 2 polls here. I'm first going to show you the top one, and then we'll look at the bottom one. So here they are again, and I'll zoom on in so we can see it. So if you received an invite, have you pre-ordered Fisker Ocean One? Now, typically when we run these polls, I think people are getting pre-order fatigue on the Fisker Ocean One. I think people are starting to be kind of like, oh, I'm over it. Like, why do people keep asking me questions about this stuff? So we normally get over 100 people, just over 100 people on average that complete our polls. Today, 28. However, I sent this out maybe, I don't know, what would that be? 7 hours ago. So we haven't had a full 24 hours, but I thought, well, let's do something, see what, the results are for tonight's show. And as you can see there, a good portion of people of the poll, 60%, have actually pre-ordered, and 32% haven't, and still undecided. That undecided is hovering between 7 to, 10%. And then we have this poll here. This was probably the more interesting one, but it still has such a little votes, so it's kind of insignificant. 13 people voted here, 17 hours left. If you haven't received an invite to pre-order Fisker Ocean, will you when you get it? And nearly 50% of the people said that they would. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And I've actually talked to 6 people that said they would pre-order the Fisker Ocean One if they receive the invite in the next week or so, or if they're the next ones in the group. And that's so that they don't have to wait because they're so far in the queue. They're like 50,000, 49,000. They're so far into the queue. They don't want to wait a year to get an electric vehicle. They want it now. So they're willing to pony up the $5,000 non-refundable deposit in order to do so.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see, that's why I believe, and that was my prediction, that we're going to end up seeing the Fisker Ocean One sell out this week or next week, is because as we get to these higher reservation numbers, the people who most recently registered for reserved a Fisker Ocean, they're the ones that are going to be more anxious to get it ahead of people who wanted the vehicle, in beginning of 2020.
Right.
And one thing I didn't do, actually, I actually had that email up. Let me throw this back up here. There's something significant on this screen here that we looked at just a minute ago. So if I can zoom in here and scroll up, here's what is probably most important. Boom, so big, is this right here. It's the emails that went out today. And this person was in the UK, actually, that got this one. So that's why it's BST. But it says your pre-order window for the invites that went out today, it closes on the 20th of July. So Fisker ends up basically saying you got 7 days from today, just like the previous ones. And I've also heard reports of people who didn't receive the email invite, wasn't in their spam folder, but they were able to go to the Fisker Ocean site and actually pre-order. So that was a good thing. So that might be something you want to check out on your side, just out of curiosity. Yeah. You go there and see if for some reason you ended up getting the option to do it, even though you didn't get the email. Has that happened to anybody else that's listening along? Maybe so. Let us know in the comments if you were one of the people who reserved.
Check my spam folder real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Spam.
So I don't know if we got 92 people watching right now. Did anybody receive an invite and pre-order? Did anybody receive an invite and not pre-order? Did anybody not receive an invite, go to the Fisker site, and were eligible to pre-order? So that would be kind of an interesting thing to find out.
Yeah, nothing in my spam folder.
All right.
I was going to... David Blair was asking if Fisker is going to be fully charged this year, and I think you and I have discussed that you were trying to find some information about that.
Yeah, from what I've heard, Fisker is trying to, I should take that back, fully charged, from what I've been told, would love to have Fisker at the San Diego show that's in September. I don't know what the latest is on that. I'll find out and share when I do, if I'm able to. But as you all know, we ended up seeing, I think it was Jack Scarlett did a first look review at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and it was actually quite good. There was some really good footage on that vehicle.
He's fun and he's entertaining.
He is. He certainly is. Maybe even more entertaining than us. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so, I've actually been watched him when he was on Electroheads before he moved to fully charged.
Very nice. So
he's really good.
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining to watch him, which is really fun. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. If Fisker does show up, and maybe even if they don't show up, I may attend just because it's in our backyard here, which will allow us to look at some other electrical vehicles and basically film some video and post them and share them with people. It's neat to learn about all the electrical vehicles out there, not just Fisker, but as you know, Fiskerati is all about Fisker, and that's what I primarily focus my attention on. There's too many electrical vehicles out there for me to spread myself so thin. I try to write 2 to 3 articles a day. If I were to try to cover, a variety of other, EV manufacturers, I'd be, sitting at this computer all day, and that's not what I want to do.
Well, that's my job.
That is your job. That is your job. Absolutely. And go ahead and talk about real quick, Jim, the video that you did that we posted this week on the Kia, the EV6.
Yeah. So the Kia EV6, if people don't know, is basically, like I said, the cousin of the Hyundai Ioniq 5. they are built on the same platform, run with the same batteries, and all that. But if you look at it, it's a lot sleeker and more of a sedan look than it is a crossover or an SUV. So therefore, it gets a little bit better efficiency. So it gets longer travel with its range and things like that. The one surprising thing that I came across was uh, the rear wheel drive on it. The motor on that is only 167 horsepower, and I don't understand why. I mean, that was just that's less than the ID4. I mean, way less than the ID4. So I'm not real sure why they did that, but it does. If you do the rear wheel drive on any of those trim levels, you get over 300 miles of range, which is excellent. But I don't know, 167. Even though it's electric and you got that instant torque, you're going to still feel a little bit, but it still just doesn't seem like it. That is quite enough. A lot of people complained about the ID4 only having 200 and that wasn't enough. So, for us, we think it's plenty. I don't have any problem with it. The only time that I ever thought that it was lacking and wasn't enough was right after I got done driving the Ford Lightning and the Rivian and was like, okay, yeah, this thing does not move compared to those things, but which those are fun trucks to drive. But yeah, other than that, the EV6 is a nice car. It is a very good car, and some people are going to enjoy it. The height on it, though, also was only like 60 inches. So that was like 4 inches shorter than the Ocean, and it's shorter than the ID4 and the Hyundai, the Ioniq 5. So I don't know how the seating is and the headroom is in the back, because that roof really slopes down. If you look at it, it has a real good slope to it, and I know it's for aerodynamics and drag, lower drag. But I'm just thinking, I'm 6 foot. I am probably, my head would be pretty close to the top of that. Is what I'm assuming. Unless they somehow have the seats sitting so low that then your knees are sitting up high on the floor. That's the only thing I could think that if they were trying to get more headroom. But I actually haven't been in one, so I'm not real sure.
Got it. Looks like you have a question from your channel, believe it or not. This is the first time I've seen this come through, so this is kind of cool. It says feelings on Lucid Air.
The Lucid Air, I think, is a beautiful car. I think the range on it is just amazing. I think it's like 450 or 500. And I think it was the kilowatts did a hyper range on that car. And now they found out that the sweet spot on that car was like 27 miles per hour. If you go 27 miles per hour, that is your best efficiency. So that's what they did. They drove 27 miles per hour on a loop, and I can't remember how long they did it. It was like 2 or 3 days, and they got like just over, or I think there was somewhere in the 600 miles they got out of that car. But yeah, I think the car is a beautiful car. I think it's amazing. I'm not really a sedan person anymore. As you get older, sometimes it's a little harder to get in and out of those cars that are sitting down low. But I would love to drive one. They are really fast. They've got like 600 or 700 horsepower. It's 1,000. Sorry, their highest end one has 1,000 horsepower, and it's just an awesome car. I just can't afford one because they're $150,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, they have a shopping mall, an outdoor shopping mall here in San Diego called UTC or Westfield Shopping Mall, whatever it is. But it's UTC is kind of what the locals call it. And they have a Lucid dealership there, and it's a beautiful, not dealership, sorry, experience center showroom. Yeah. And it's a beautiful showroom. I was actually quite impressed by it. And the guy told us when we were there, he ended up saying that it does 0 to 60, I think it was, in under 3 seconds, 2 point something seconds. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. It just feels so top notch, the interior.
Yeah.
But like you said, the price tag on it is for this family here way out of touch, way out of reach.
I mean, it's kind of how I felt when Tesla first came out and I saw the Model S, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. I want one of these. And my wife's like, okay, someday you can have one. And then we look at it and it's $150,000, and we're just like, okay, never mind. It's not going to happen. And then they came out with the Model 3 and said, hey, here's our $35,000 car. What happened to the $35,000 car?
Yeah, right.
It's now a $50,000 car. So
that's crazy.
It's just, it's just how it is. But, Tesla owners and people that follow Tesla, never really complain too much about the price increases, because they do it slowly, but they do it incrementally throughout the year. So you don't get hit with like Rivian did and said, hey, we're going to raise everything $12,000.
Got it.
It's like $3,000 here in the first quarter, and then they might hit you for another $1,500 or $2,000 in the third quarter of the year,
And that was the reason why I ended up pulling the trigger about a year and 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a year and 3 weeks ago, with the Tesla Model 3. They had done a price increase not long before I purchased it, and they said they were going to do another one. And I was like, okay, time to pull the trigger. Boom. Yeah. And we did it in June of last year. Actually, I did it in May. No, I think it was June. I got it at the end of June, or maybe it was June 21st, or June 25th. Not very good with dates as I'm getting older in life. But I definitely happy that I did it, because the price has increased substantially since then.
Hey, did you just see what I just saw?
No, what happened? No, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Is Henrik Fisker in the chat?
No, not that. We got a trophy. We were given a trophy.
What does that mean?
The trophy says, I've received 100 messages today with Restream chat.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't see a trophy. I was hoping you saw Henrik Fisker in the chat. I'd be like, wow. Wow. That would be really cool.
I think everybody would have been sending us messages saying, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't like Twitter, but maybe he likes YouTube. Maybe he's a YouTube kind of person. What do you think?
Yeah, he could be.
If he showed up in the chat, my face would probably look like that, right?
Yeah, right.
I'd be like, what?
That was another thing that we were talking about, his personality and how personable he is. And then you had that one article with the one video of the guy that, like, all of a sudden he didn't even plan on shooting a video, or I don't think he expected Henrik to be there. Right. And then all of a sudden he was just like there talking to him, and he's like trying to record it on his phone while he's just standing there. And he just sat there, and Henrik just sat there and talked to him and answered all of his questions and told him, gave out
information. Didn't brush him off or anything, did he? Didn't brush him off, didn't say, all right, I'm done. It was just the natural ending of the conversation.
Yeah, he just seems to enjoy that. He enjoys talking about it. And of course, if I built something like that, I'd enjoy talking about it all the time too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's just how he is, and that's why I like him.
Me too. Same there. And we have, let's see here. It looks like there may be a question. Okay, so I reserved right before 40,000 announcement and got an invite to pre-order the One this morning. Congratulations to you, Andrew. Is the $5,000 commitment too much for buyers? Is Fisker committed to producing 5,000 ones if reservations are not met? So, we can be critical of the company and say, could they have done a better job with this rollout? Maybe. It all depends on expectations and how fast they intended to sell out. So I mentioned, like, a lot of investors, if you go to StockTwits or you go to Twitter and you use the dollar sign, what they call a hashtag, $FSR, you can hear people talk about or see people talk about Fisker. And a lot of people expected Fisker to sell out, like I mentioned at the beginning of this show tonight, like instantly. And that didn't happen. But as I mentioned, we're only 13 days into this. So let's say Fisker sold 2,500 pre-orders, or maybe they sold 4,000. Who knows at this point? I think we're getting narrower because some people are receiving invites and some aren't, based on their region or their geography. And that means that the quantities that were divided up for all the different regions, how many ever there may be, are running low or are depleted at this point for certain people, wherever they live. So, it didn't happen as fast as they wanted. So is $5,000 commitment too high, that non-refundable amount? That's a good question. I would think that, if Fisker doesn't end up selling out all 5,000, then we can look back and play, what do they call it? I'm going to get the term wrong, but like armchair quarterback. That's wrong. Right. Is that right? Is that what it's called? Armchair quarterback? It's something like that. But it's like looking back after the fact and being like, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that. Right. And yeah, it's easy to do. So there will certainly be learnings from this. Now, a couple ideas that they could have done potentially, if they wanted to stick to that $5,000, everyone who currently pre-ordered or reserved paid $250, right? So they could have said it's $5,000 and your $250 deposit for that reservation will be applied to the $5,000. So you need to come up with an extra $4,750. Now, that's still a lot of money. It's not like it's $250 less than $5,000. It's still a lot of money, but it would have been another way of doing it. And then the company obviously could have made it $1,000 non-refundable deposit, $2,500. So someone's probably thinking, I'm sure nobody's in trouble or anything like that, but it's going to be a lesson learned. What can they do better next time? And they're going to learn from this, and they're going to end up applying the correct deposit or down payment for the Extreme, the Ultra, and the Sport. They haven't figured out what that's going to be yet.
Right. And I'm kind of wondering, it seems like all these cars, one of the very first ones when they come out, and it happened with the Hummer, and I think maybe even a Rivian did too, ended up at Barrett-Jackson in an auction and they sold for 3 times the amount of what it's supposed to be, because it was like one of the first ones. Now, is that a way that they might help get funding if they need any funding? I don't know if that's what's going on with the other ones, but like the Hummer, I think it sold for like $250,000 or $260,000. And
interesting.
So I don't know if that's what part of the process is, or if somebody bought that and just took it straight to Barrett-Jackson and said, I'm turning it over. I'm going to flip it, or what? What happened there? But I would just say if they don't sell out of all those ones, that maybe one will end up there.
And there's going to be, because they're all numbered 1 through 5,000, whether, I would imagine they're going to sell out. Like I said, my prediction, end of this week, next week, we'll see. But when they do sell out, each person is going to have a Fisker Ocean One numbered 1 through 5,000. And like in baseball cards or other collectibles, the even numbers are sometimes really valuable. Like obviously 1 will be valuable. Maybe 100 will be really valuable. 500, 1,000, 2,500. Like those are some neat numbers, and those are the ones that you would typically find at an auction. Like it's the round number. Like I feel sorry whoever ends up getting like 666 or some crazy number that's superstitious, or 13. Like, oh, you have the 13.
If that popped up on my screen, I would probably just call them and say, you need to change that. I don't care what you put on there, but it's not going to pop up and say 666.
Correct, right? But like someone is going to get that, right?
Right.
Like someone's going to get that. And then it's like, that would be horrible. But that's what happens when you number things, right? So.
You're going to get like 665/10 or 665.
665 plus 1 or something like that. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But that's what happens when you number things. Now here's a clip right here. Not very clear, not big, but let's zoom it in here and see. So this is Henrik himself. Talking about the Ocean, and this was last week, right before I believe the third, it would have been probably the third wave going out of emails.
This week, we went out to our first reservation holders to invite you to make a firm order for the Fisker Ocean One. It's our limited edition Ocean. We're only going to make 5,000. And by making this firm order, we can now start preparing your specific vehicle with your color choices, your wheel choices, etc. Thank you for being part of history, and thank you for being part of making a cleaner future for all.
So that was Henrik Fisker talking about, hey, get up and pre-order the Fisker Ocean One, make history, help create a cleaner future for all, and firm up your order. So that's that, $5,000 commitment. Firm it up. If you want one of these things, you know what you have to do if you want one. So that's, once again, I think that the people who reserved most recently, they're going to be the ones pulling the trigger and helping round out the 5,000, but time will tell. Let's look through the feed and see if we have any other comments. So it looks like Blair just threw out some numbers that are interesting. If you end up getting the 4,444, or the 3,333, the 2,222, or the 1,111, yeah, or just the 1,111, that would be kind of cool too. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cool numbers.
Yeah, Brave Fit and Strong with Carlos says, my biggest worry is putting the 5,000 down, but for some reason or another, you can't get financing for the Ocean One. Do you lose that deposit, or will they work with you to apply it to a different trim?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
I would think it would be like anything else. If you, for some odd reason, you could not get financing for that, then I think that 5,000 would probably be applied later, even if it was like maybe in the Flexi leasing program that they might be able to qualify you for. But I mean,
that's just a guess.
Most people, if they can put $5,000 down, they should not have a problem getting financing.
It's going to come down to your credit and how much debt you already have, and all that stuff. So like, check your, if you're going to do this and you have maybe not so good credit, if you're planning to finance the thing, that might be a route you don't want to go. But if you have $70K in the bank that you can do, or you can go to a local credit union who might be more forgiving with getting a loan. That might be the typically our local credit unions are a lot more lenient on helping give local people in the community loans than a Chase Bank or a Wells Fargo or whoever it may be. But in this case, it's going to be Chase Auto who's going to be writing the loans, if that's the correct terminology. But they're going to be the ones funding the loans for Fisker. They're quote unquote nominated, which I still don't get that term, but that's who Fisker has selected to work with. So that's pretty neat. What other questions do we have here? Now, speaking of questions, while you look at the feed here, I'm going to go ahead and throw something else up with questions. So if you guys, so we're basically talking tonight. If you just tuned in, there's 103 people that are watching. Hello, everybody from San Diego. We're talking tonight the Fisker Ocean One. What's up with the Fisker Ocean One? Like, a lot of people are wondering, like, why hasn't it sold out yet? Well, don't forget, we're 13 days into this. The Fisker team's working real hard right now, not just on firming up these pre-orders for people, but they're doing a lot of other things, right? They got the 3 prototypes in this week, and they're going to be doing the ADAS testing, that 5 pilot testing. They're going to be doing low, high speed maneuvers and doing some testing there. And then they're going to be doing some chassis testing. It's what they told us. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just all about pre-orders. For us that are outside looking in, that's something fun to talk about, pre-ordering, right? Because people are buying stuff. People love spending money here in America, don't they, Jim? Oh yeah, good old USA. Let's max out the credit card.
Money, we've got mugs and T-shirts and everything.
You do. You got a nice T-shirt on.
Down in the description, there will be a link.
That's right. Yeah, if you want one of these awesome Fisker Audi shirts.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Got them in. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the quality, so. It's nice. For $20, it's good. It'll last. It's a good quality shirt. Print and the print is pretty good. I sent in the highest resolution image, Jim, that I could possibly send in to get this made, and on some of the edges, a little bit of bleeding, but it's not bad. Like I used to do lots of screen printing, and I've certainly made better quality, but this is kind of like one of those like instant. I'm really selling the shirt, right? But I'm being honest.
You're not selling your shirt very well.
I don't care. It's a shirt. It's a big deal. But if you want to, it'd be cool just to see somebody else wear it other than myself, right? That's like the cool thing. I used to make hats and shirts and skateboards and stuff, and this was the brand that I did. So it was always cool seeing people wearing the hat and the logo when I walked around town here. It was always a fun thing.
Yeah, you're meaning like this one, right?
Oh, I didn't even get that one. I should have.
You didn't get that one out, did you?
No, I didn't get that one out today. Maybe I should. Should I go get it?
Oh no, we can turn it around backwards and do it this way.
Oh yeah, maybe. And then you have that little thing hanging out. So let's go ahead and look at this. So speaking of questions, Fisker reached out to its followers across all social media channels this week and said, if you want to pre-order the Fisker Ocean, now's the time to ask us questions. And people came out in droves asking questions. We did a post on this, and we put like the first, 7 questions, maybe 6 questions. I don't know, 6 or 7 questions. And some of the questions, it's kind of hard to read that. Maybe I can blow it up a little bit. So the people ask questions, all sorts of questions here. We even asked a question. It didn't get answered. But something similar did get answered down the way from somebody else. So let's see here. Good questions that Fisker replied to. Let's see. So this person asked, hey, I placed my order for the Fisker Ocean One a couple days ago, and my question is, do I have a chance to change the color choices, both exterior and interior, before it goes into production? Answer, yes, you will have a time period to change your configuration, and we'll notify you in advance of the date upon which your configuration becomes a firm and final order. So somebody asked Henrik that too the other day, and I think it might have been on Instagram as well, and he said that the super configurator is actually going to come out in October. And the super configurator is going to be a 3D configurator. So you're going to be able to see, I don't know, it's going to swivel, but maybe it'll do a full rotation. I'm not sure, but 3D, maybe we have to get 3D glasses. I don't know, but it'll be pretty cool. A 3D configurator, probably no 3D glasses. Just kidding there. But it will allow you to see the images much better. They're going to be better renderings, more high definition, so that when you look at the Fisker Ocean One in Big Blue Sur, you'll actually get to see what Big Sur Blue looks like on your screen. And granted, when you look at colors on a computer versus different Pantones that are printed on like pieces of paper, they're actually different. But hopefully this 3D configurator will give people a better idea of what the colors are, other than the little swatches that have been floating around. So here's a question here. Let's see if we got an answer. So they said, from Toronto, Canada, pre-ordered mine on Friday, but I'm also wondering if we can see the car do its tour in Canada. And they said, you will hear it here first. So there is going to be a tour. I talked about it. There's going to be a U.S. tour, and there's going to be we know there's a worldwide tour, but I'm sure they're going to head up to Canada on the tour. So keep your ears out. While you can tune in to Fisker to find out, you can also tune here to our video show here, and we'll give you the down low as well.
There's a question that I wanted to address over here. So Gary Lee asks, since the battery packs have a limited number of charges, has there been any concern about the solar panels consistently charging them while they're outside? Do you think that will cause degradation? So the whole thing with the battery packs having limited number of charges, this limited number of charges technically is fast charging, not your slow charging. They're talking about DC fast charging. And even then, we really don't know what that number is because I know that there are Teslas that from 2012 that still have the original batteries that have like almost 200,000 miles on them that are still going. So I wouldn't really concern yourself too much about them having a limited number of charging and with the degradation. And you have warranties on that stuff anyway. But like I said, it is only DC fast charging. So the little bit of energy that solar panel is pulling in and charging that battery is going to be no different than you putting a 110 trickle charger on there. It's not going to charge it at a fast enough rate for it to cause any issues.
What type of charger do you use for your ID4?
I use a 240.
What's the make of it, or who makes it?
I use Electron.
Okay.
Yeah. Electron is the one that I use. I lucked out and had already had a 240 line that it wasn't being used. So I just moved it to the side of the house and plugged into it. Now it's only on a 20 amp. So I'm only using a 16 amp charger. So it charges at about 9 to 13 miles per hour. But for us, that's perfectly fine. We usually only use maybe 20% or 30% of the battery throughout the day. So we plug it in and it takes a few out, 4 or 5 hours, and it's charged back up in the morning. So
very nice. Yeah, we got the wall connector, the Tesla wall connector, and that hooks up, I believe, to a 50 amp breaker as well.
That's pretty good.
And our house is, we were talking about how old our houses were a while back, but our house is much newer than yours, but the actual the breaker box or the electrical panel is from 1977. So it actually has a very limited, at least ours has a limited number of slots.
Gotcha.
So we had to re-rig everything so we could end up actually fitting in the 50 amp fuse in order to get the wall connector to work. But after that's been hooked up, it is 240 volts. It charges, I believe, 42 or 44 miles range per hour. So we can turn that on at midnight during our super off-peak times here, and we get 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Yeah, our super off-peak here in California, or at least in San Diego, I should say, is what Jim gets all day long where he lives. So we pay up to 42 cents between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. I believe it is, and then we get super off-peak between midnight and 6 a.m. and that's 10 cents. And then for all the other times I didn't mention, I think it's 36 cents. So we pay a lot for electricity here. So it's really important if you're charging your electrical vehicle to do it in California and specifically San Diego during super off-peak times.
Yeah.
Ooh, crazy. So there's a good question here, actually, that somebody asked as well in our chat. So I'm going to throw this thing back up here for just a minute. The question actually was, I know production will start in November, but when will the first 5,000 deliveries begin or be delivered? So deliveries, he says, Fisker says, we expect most of the Ocean Ones to be delivered in the first half of 2023, with all deliveries in all launch markets complete by September 30th, 2023. So we were talking earlier about the people who had the right-hand drive, right? So they'll get theirs 100% for sure by the end of September. But most of the deliveries look like they'll be happening within the first half of 2023. And as I mentioned, the car, at least the 3 prototypes that came over from Graz, Austria, that are going to be undergoing some testing, those took 3 weeks from when Henrik Fisker said, hey, we got some prototypes coming over for testing. And then when Fisker, the company, said, hey, we received the prototypes, 3 weeks. So who knows how those get here? They're certainly not flown over because that should be quicker than a 3-week flight. But they're probably sent over by freight on a ship, and that's how long it takes. So one thing that was really interesting, I don't know if anyone else picked this up, but there was a video, and maybe I can pull it up here, and maybe someone can explain this to me because I don't understand it. But we go to Henrik Fisker's Twitter account, and actually don't see it here. Let me think where it might be. It might be here. Let's see. Nope, not there. Maybe it's here. Nope, not here. Don't know where it was. Anyhow, there's a video of Henrik Fisker, and he ended up posting somewhere. Maybe it was, before I do that, let me check the Instagram account for Fisker Inc. Maybe it'll be there, and then we'll look at. It's easier to look at than to explain. No, I don't see it. Okay, so anyhow, basically it's a video that shows a countdown clock. And the countdown clock, I'm pretty sure it was Henrik Fisker that posted it. And it basically says,
yeah,
have you seen it?
I remember seeing that now.
Yeah, maybe, you know what? I think I downloaded it somewhere. Let me check my YouTube
It
account.
had something like 157 days, so many.
Nope,
blah, blah,
it
blah,
said
blah.
125 days. I want to say
That's
13 hours and change.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, today to November 17th, 2022, at the time that video was posted, was 28 days. And I thought the key in that video, it actually said first customer deliveries. And I was like, first customer deliveries? That was totally crazy. So are they going to be delivered? Here we go. I got it. I'm going to pull this up. Let's go. Boom. Here we go. Kind of doing, I think I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back with regards to the navigation here tonight. So here we go. Here is the video I was talking about. So I'm going to play it, but it's nothing really happening. Let's see. Oh, there you go. So what's interesting there is it says FCV, right? And FCV is first customer vehicle, as it says up at the top there. Okay. So it says 125 days, 14 hours, 50 minutes, 50 seconds, or 59 seconds. So it makes me wonder, is Fisker going to be producing some of these Oceans before November 17th? And will they actually deliver the first vehicle before that date, whether it be in Austria or Germany or somewhere over in Europe? That's something that I was wondering, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to end up doing something early? 125 days till first customer vehicle. Yeah.
So is that before the November 17th?
Oh yeah. Okay. That was like the day that was posted. It was so November 17th. Let's see here. I type this in every week because I forget. But 127 days to November 17th. Okay. So when that was posted, it was 128 days. That said 125. So that would put us on the 15th, 16th. I don't know. Say the 14th or the 15th of November. So are they going to be running the assembly line early November with the hope to actually do the first delivery maybe a few days before? So it's like the under promise, over deliver.
Yeah. Maybe? So what I have seen manufacturers do before, and I think the same thing happened with the Ford Lightning, when they said that their first day that they were going to do their production thing, they had a big whole thing. And now this is the U.S., so people were able to just get their trucks. But they invited some of the first customers that were getting the first trucks to be there that day as the first ones rolled off the assembly line. So that day was the first day it rolled off the assembly line.
Interesting.
I am guessing that they're going to do a similar thing, and they're going to probably have a few of them for the customers, first few. And Henrik may consider himself the first customer. So
True.
So it may be his. Yeah, I don't know. But that's generally when they have that date where they say November 17th is when they're going to start. It's basically that's going to be the first one that rolls off the line. Mm-hmm. So they may have certain people's, those first 5 or so, or whoever goes to people that inside the company or whatever, that may be done ahead of time. Those may be the first ones that come off.
Got it. That makes sense. So so that's something to keep our eyes out for, a potential reveal of the assembly line before November 17th.
Yeah,
something could happen sooner. Yeah. Who knows?
And if some of those first ones that come off that assembly line, if those customers are from Europe, I wouldn't be surprised to see them invited to come and pick up their car if they want to. Now, I don't expect anybody from the U.S. to be going them to fly them over there, because then they got to fly them back and then get the car. Then they get their car 3 weeks later or whatever. So I don't see that happening. But
I remember BMW, didn't they? And maybe some other European manufacturers, didn't they do something like where you could buy the car in Europe, do some sort of a European tour, drive it around from various country to country, and then they'd ship it back? That adds certainly a lot of complexity. I'm pretty sure BMW does that.
That'd be fun.
It was super fun, yeah. And you'd be driving, in that case, a left-hand drive in a right-hand drive. Actually,
that would be weird.
It depends if you ended up doing it in the UK. I'll take that back. If it's the mainland, Europe, it would be right-hand drive left-hand drive as well. But it'd be certainly interesting.
I've seen some videos where they do that, where they've gotten into the left-hand drive car, but are driving on the left side of the road. So they're like they're on the edge of the road. They said it's really weird and really strange doing that.
Yeah, I've driven in the UK using a right-hand drive, as well as the UK, primarily England, and then Ireland, right-hand drive. And I didn't have too much of an issue. It takes like 15 or 20 minutes to get the hang of it. And then after that, not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite fun. Certainly fun.
So I got a question for you.
Sure.
So we've got one that came in. I think when it says paired, I think that means it's my channel.
Okay.
But you could probably answer this one just a little bit better than I do, because you watch it probably a little bit better. Your feelings on the stock price. And then it just says when that happens.
This person's hoping the stock pops, maybe.
Probably when the cars start coming off the line.
Yeah. So what are my thoughts on the stock? I should say I do hold Fisker shares, and I hold them in my IRA only. I hold them as a long term investment. I do look at the stock. I look at all my stocks actually every day. I actually own 31 stocks. All of the stocks are dividend paying stocks except for Fisker. That to me is my most speculative stock, and that's why it's sitting in my IRA. It happens to be the only stock in my IRA. So I'm all in my IRA, my retirement account for Fisker.
Yeah.
And I think the stock is where it needs to be now. If you follow the SPAC, the SPAC game, if you follow specialty purpose acquisition companies, the companies who are shell companies that take privately held companies public, I followed close to 300 of them. In fact, 289 of them. And the last time I looked was probably about a month ago. In all fairness, and I think it'll probably be worse now if I were to look than when I looked then. But at the time, 90% of those companies were far below. They were all below. 90% of the companies were below $10 a share, and $10 a share is par value. More than 50% of those companies were traded below $5, and the the companies that are pre-revenue companies are the ones that are taking it on the chin the most. Those are the super high growth names. And unfortunately, there's companies who are not as high growth as what they were pitched as, and they are losing money hand over fist. And those are the ones that are trading below $5 a share, and a lot of them even below $1 a share. So I think Fisker's time will come. As long as they continue to execute. And part of that execution as a shareholder would be seeing the company do good by their reservation holders and sell out the Fisker Ocean One, and do the same for the Extreme, and just provide really good customer experience, good service. Just be a good company all around, be an exceptional company. If they do those things, I think the share price will increase. How much will it increase? Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. I clearly wouldn't be invested in the company if I didn't think it had, the stock had some growth potential. But I'm not, I put my chips where I think, I put my chips on what I believe is an interesting bet. I could lose all my money, or I could make a lot of money. So it just all comes down to risk reward, and that's one of the reasons why I write all the articles I write. It helps me stay close and connected to the company, even being an outsider. It allows me to understand what's going on. And just today, the company hired a VP of global, I want to say VP of global manufacturing. And that was a hire from a former executive from BMW who has a lot of experience in lean manufacturing. So that's a great hire for them to figure out ways to build the pair and maybe future iterations of the Ocean using less parts. So just staying in tune with stuff, I think that the company definitely has high prospects. Things are bright for the company. This very moment in time is going to be such a blip on the radar that, it took 3 weeks to sell out the Ocean One, or 4 weeks. Who cares, right? At the end of the day, if we look, in 2027, when the company's selling, or producing 1 million vehicles a year, that's what their goal is. Who cares about, July 13th, 2022? It's not going to make much of a difference.
I feel that it's probably, when they start rolling off the line, you might see a small increase, but I don't think it's going to get any significant increase until the cars are out on the road and the first probably year or two to see how things go. And make sure there's not any issues or stuff like that. Then I see the stock price probably increasing as the pair starts to come along and they realize, okay, this is for real. They're still here. They're sticking around. This is still going well.
I think which one more thought on that. A lot of it comes down to the market as a whole, though. So a lot of high growth names have been re-rated. They've been expectations have grown. As I mentioned, a lot of those SPACs are trading well below $10, the par value. A lot of that's because of the pressure of the markets in general, rising interest rates, the cost to borrow new capital. And Fisker will at some point need to raise additional capital, as they said they were going to do, raise up to $350 million at some point. That might be sometime in 2023, early 2023, who knows? It might be after they get rid of all the, but after they deliver, a fair number of the Ocean Ones to show that they know what they're doing, to give investors confidence. They'll go out to the market, and hopefully the stock price is higher when they need to raise at the market. But the stock market in general, overall, is dictating what Fisker share prices is worth. So if we're in a crappy economy in November 17th or November 15th, if we're saying first customer deliveries in 125 days yesterday, then if the market's in the crapper, a nice way to put it, then the Fisker stock is going to be having a hard time, with the upward trajectory. That that can go up. It can also go down if we get another half point interest rate increase at that point. So it just there's a lot of factors and a lot of things that can affect a share price. It's not just what the company does, even if they're executing. If Fisker wasn't executing right now, the stock would be below $5. It might be below $1. Because they are executing, it's at $9 and change, whatever it may have closed at today. So that's all I have to say on the stock. Hopefully that answered it.
Got another one for you. Since you're kind of with your little community there on Fiskerati, since you have connections with them, Kevin Berman asked, has anyone gotten 2 invites since we've all had the chance to order a second?
Yes.
Reserve a second.
People have received 2 invites. Many people have received 2 invites. They've chosen, a lot of those people who received 2 invites pre-ordered on the first one and punted on the second one.
Yeah. 10,000 is a lot to come up with.
10,000 is a lot to come up. So is 140 grand, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that happens, right? Like, so that's another thing too. If you think about the queue, you have 50,000, say today, I'm going to say every, and this isn't just me saying this is just me doing the basic math, but I am going to say this. So back on the 8th of June, we had 50,000 reservations confirmed. Every week, so for the last 6 to 7 months, every week we've seen 1,000 new reservations of the Fisker Ocean. So if we look from the 8th to now, that's, say, just to make the math easy, it's a little more than 4 weeks. So let's say Fisker has gained an additional 4,000 reservations. So we're at 54,000, probably nearing 55,000 reservations. Many of those reservation holders, not many, but a portion of those, we could say the 80-20 rule, a lot of investors in Fisker shares were the ones who most likely, this is just my anecdotal experience here, reserved more than one. So they wanted to help the stock price by reserving two. And on the most you can have for any one Fisker vehicle is two. So I could reserve 2 pairs and 2 Oceans per account. The thing is too, so a good portion of those 5,000 as of this time today, unconfirmed from the company. That's just me doing the backwards math, envelope math, whatever. A good portion of those are not a good portion. Let's say 20% of those are people who have done 2 reservations. They're not going to reserve. They're not going to pre-order 2. They're going to pre-order 1, or they may choose to punt on both of them. In addition, in those 55,000, we have 1,600 reservations that are from fleet orders. Now, the fleet orders as of May 2022 were 1,600. And I would have to imagine that somebody who's at a company who signed up for a fleet order, they're not going to want a fleet reservation. They're not going to want a $70,000 car in their fleet. They're going to want the $37,499 Fisker Ocean Sport. So as we whittle down and look at the reservation queue, how many people have been contacted? Not as many as the 55,000 reservations that are out there, because a lot of them are double counted, or people who might be a part of a company that did a fleet reservation.
Yeah. Ford ran into the same situation with the Pro model. The Pro model is what most of the fleet sales are going to go for the Lightning. So they have big fleet sales for the Pro, but not as high for the other ones. And so they've kind of let people know that if you're going to plan to order a Pro, then it's hard telling exactly when you might get like your Lightning, because they're going to fulfill those fleet sales first, because they know that money's guaranteed coming in. A lot of people, they're not sure, are you really going to convert your reservation or not? These companies are definitely converting theirs, so they're definitely going to get those out there to them first before yours may get built. So
got it.
So that's what I would think. The same thing with the Sport, although it's going to be a later in the thing. But those fleets are going to want the cheapest vehicle they can out there. So
Matthew said hi. He said hi to both of us. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew.
Where are you based? So we're just out of curiosity. I have the same problem as last week. There's so many comments, and if I start going to the top, I'm going to be totally lost. I'd love to know where everybody is. Like, where are people watching from? Probably not Europe. I'm going to say as far probably as the East Coast.
I don't know. They've got some good conversations going on over here. There's something about Harry Met Sally and Cat's Cafe or Diner and.
Wow. Yeah, we have 105 people watching. This might be the most people we've had concurrently watching the show ever. Vegas, baby, Austin, Georgia, Ohio, Kansas City, Vermont, Wilmington.
Wow.
Rosanna, I remember you from last week. Thank you for
Rosanna's the one that Rosanna wants my water
Florida.
bottle. Oh, all right.
David
Rosanna
from North Carolina, Vicus from St. Louis, Springfield, Missouri.
It's awesome.
Very nice. Laguna, SoCal, 2 reservations. That went really quick. 2 reservations, 1 invite received. I'm at Laguna. Nice. Chicago.
There you go, Chicago. People in Chicago, make sure you contact me when you get your Fisker Ocean so I can come up and visit.
That's right. LA. Yeah, she wants that water bottle. Chicago, northern suburbs. Very nice. Jim. So I'm curious too, does anybody that's watching right now, does anybody use the Fiskerati forums? I'd love to know that. That'd be another interesting thing, just to see which people are watching this. Here's a better question. How did you hear about this stream tonight? What social media site or what forum did you learn about it, so that we know which forums to more frequent and engage with people? So that would be interesting if people want to share that tidbit.
Sorry, I was laughing because we got like one person from Canada in here.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool.
He's like, I'm holding down the fort for Canada.
I'm on the forum. Nice.
Somebody did.
Where are you, Tommaso? Real quick, I'm just curious.
Matthew,
where are you based, Tommaso?
Matthew, I actually am from Central Illinois, so I don't mind. I can drive to the north side or the south side. But I am a Cubs fan, so if that tells you anything.
My parents, my dad's a Cubs fan, my mom as well. They're probably watching. Hi, Mom and Dad.
YouTube.
And my wife and daughter are probably watching upstairs. So hi,
Igor. Igor got a YouTube push notification. Awesome.
YouTube notification. Interesting.
Wait a minute, David Blair, you're from Decatur, Illinois. You're like 20 miles away from me. Like 30 miles away from me. That's awesome.
I didn't see anybody from San Diego in there. There was actually somebody who posted to the Fiskerati forums today that's more or less in the same city of San Diego that I'm in, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I haven't seen that before. So out of the 300 and something people that have joined the forums, one person happens to be in the same city as me.
Yeah. So David, did you get an invite and an order for an Ocean One? Because he's only 20 miles away from me. So
that's pretty cool.
Your car will live on YouTube forever.
Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, he hasn't gotten it yet. He hasn't gotten one yet. St. Louis isn't too far for me to drive either. My brother lives there. I can go down there and visit him and race his Mustang. Oh, that's funny. David Blair, you're tricking me now. Now he says he's from North Carolina.
Oh, that's a bummer. Oh, he lives in North Carolina now. Before he lived near you. So, what else should we talk about? The Ocean One. Let me go do some checks here. Any questions about anything right now while we have people? I'm just going to take a moment and cruise around.
I was going to go back. I was going to go back to the right-hand drive. The people getting them in June. I just, I was sitting there thinking about that, and if there's a lot of people that are ordering for that right-hand drive, and they're not getting theirs till June, that means all of us that are getting the left-hand drive are going to get ours sooner.
Correct.
So that's kind of cool.
That is neat. Yeah, that is. And we will definitely share videos and footage of ours when it arrives. Hopefully we'll be able to get in front of or near a Fisker Ocean prototype sooner rather than later, whether that be to do a first look of our own or to do a test drive. So if anybody's watching from Fisker and you want us to reach our audience, by all means, you know how to reach us.
Yep.
And we'll definitely put it on here and show people how it does. We'll give our first look.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I did send them an email. Haven't gotten a response back, but I sent them an email and gave them our information, both of us. So
thank you.
Not a problem. And I don't remember who it was. Let me go down here for a second. Gary Lee. I'm not worried about my brother and his Mustang. He's got a Mustang Mach-e. And he said, be careful racing Mustang. You'll probably lose control and smash into the side of you. My brother has been racing cars for a long time. He had a bunch of friends when he was a little bit younger, and they had Mustangs, and they actually went and set up a track they had like track days on Saturdays and stuff. So my brother's a pretty good driver, so I'm not concerned with that.
And was that a drag racing strip, or was it actual
It was a course. It was a course. Okay. Yeah. They would go out there and I don't know where they did it at, but they went out and set up cones and stuff like that, and just had like the timed races. And I'm not exactly sure what was all involved in it, but I know they used to do that like either once a week or once a month or something like that. They all got together and did that.
Yeah, I don't want to get totally derail the conversation, but I used to do that stuff too when I was in high school and just out of high school. Used to do a lot of street racing, and it was quite fun. So we'll save that for another show. I can pull up some old footage and photos and show you the old school car with the nitrous oxide and all sorts of fun stuff. Oh wow. Yeah, I was really into it back then. So I'm reliving my childhood with these electric cars and how fast they go. It's quite fun. So we got someone from San Diego, Mark Anderson. Hello.
So Igor asked, Igor, I'm not sure how to go about doing that because I don't have that, but he asked if I could can you prepare a video about how to prepare the house for using the Ocean as a power bank. I can probably get some details together about the items that you would need to have.
That would be a cool video to do. We could do a post on that.
Because
that would be a good one.
Yeah, because there's a lot more to it, and that's what a lot of them they don't come out and say that. Ford did the same thing. They talked about how you can power your house and all stuff, but they don't tell you about all the equipment that you have to have. And some people, like our house, was built in 1851. Now, a lot of our wiring has been changed, but some of it still has old wiring, especially upstairs. We've had our fuse box panel replaced and everything, but for something like that, we would probably have to have the electricity completely redone for it to be able to power something in that direction, the way that works. But I know that there is a lot of stuff that you have to have. You've got to have a wall box, and you've got to have a splitter, and you got to have a disconnect so that the power that's going back into your house doesn't travel down the line where someone could be working. So there's a whole lot of stuff that has to go on with that. But you might go over. I will work on that. I'll see what I can come up with. But in the meantime, Igor, go watch State of Charge with Tom Malogny. I think he has a video where he goes over all of that stuff and what you have to have for that.
So I did an article back. It says April 5th, and I talked about how your Fisker Ocean will be a mobile power source with your power bank. I'll go ahead and post this in the chat, and for those that are interested in reading it, you can read it. It had to do with all the different ways that you could leverage your Fisker Ocean as a power bank, whether it be as a powerhouse. I think I talked about power share, external power outlet. So you can check that out. I can also update this if Jim ends up making a video, I can end up putting that video on that post as well. That post is actually viewed, believe it or not, quite a bit.
Okay.
So.
All right, I'll add it to my list.
I know. I'm sorry. You could probably make a lot of videos that I can add to. I've written 250 articles now, maybe 260, and very few of them have videos up until the last month. So, I've been going back.
I don't know if you've done this yet or not. You might have an article already up for it. Was some people are new to EVs, and I don't know any of you that are in this chat right now that don't own an electric vehicle and you're new to the electric vehicles. Just say, "Hey, I am. I'm new to electric vehicles." But I have a video that I made a long time ago, about a couple months ago, about electric vehicles and the most common questions that are asked and kind of gave an explanation of how things work. That there's a video on there. It's called Electric Vehicles 101. So if you're interested in that, you might go check that out. But I didn't know if you maybe had some sort of article that you had on your site already about that.
I probably do. I don't remember one off the top of my head, but if I don't, I'm happy to take your video and write something about it.
Yeah, you might look at it and see if there's something that you might be able to pair to something you already have.
Yeah. I could probably do that for a lot of your videos.
We got several in here that are new to EVs.
And I was new to EVs just a year ago, so I EVs have been around for a while now, but I just got into the EV game June of last year. Yeah,
we just got ours in December, so I am going to see if I can grab that video and send it to you, and maybe you can post it for them.
Sure.
See if I can pull that up.
And if you guys haven't downloaded the Fiskerati app while Jim's pulling that up, go ahead and search your Apple App Store, your Google Play Store, and you can find Fiskerati there. And if you could also give it a review, that would be helpful. That takes like a minute, maybe not even a minute. If you just hit 5 stars, it'll take you literally 5 seconds. But I'd super appreciate that if you haven't downloaded the app, download it. Every time I write an article, it pushes it to your phone if you have push notifications enabled. And then also, if you could please like this video now, and then if you want to like it after we're done too, then that would allow this video to be recommended to more people just like you. So that's how it works on YouTube. If you like something, then people who like the same stuff as you, they all recommend the videos and stuff. So when you like this video, it recommends it to other people. So thank you for giving this video a thumbs up, and please follow OSR Garage and Fiskerati if you haven't already done so on YouTube, as we're going to keep coming up with new videos. I think we have fun doing this. I don't know if my family loves me doing this, but I love doing this. It's kind of fun to get on here and chat for one day a week, and it's kind of nice little enjoyable fun here. So while you're doing that, I'm going to look in the comments here. Oh, there you go. That's to me. So I'll bookmark that. And do you want to post that into the feed for people who are new as well?
Yeah, you can post that into the chat, and then I'll also put it in the description down at the bottom after the video's over. Got
it. Cool. So I just posted the video Jim's referring to. It's the EV 101. And I'm going to go to it now, so it's in my history. Cool. Cool. So I'll watch that as well, Jim, and find out how I can include that into an article, whether it be an old one or a new one. Cool. So any other questions? Anything else we have before we call the night? I think we've talked about in great detail. We still have 80 people on here. Thank you for those 80 people who may have been here since the very beginning. If you have, thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys are great.
I guess we're somewhat entertaining to keep people's interest for that long, or maybe these 80 people just joined. I find this quite crazy, this whole YouTube thing. We've never done this before.
What colors are you talking about, Rosanna? Just asking about colors.
Okay.
Trying to. What we got? Well, we have a choice of color of any color for the Ocean One. I believe any of the launch colors you can get.
Correct. That is correct, and I can pull them up if we want to talk about them. I'll just throw up this article here, and I'll zoom in on it.
The orange, probably not. I think the orange is for 2023.
Correct. And then we also don't know what Fisker is going to do with regards to charging for some of these colors. So if it's like Tesla, as an example, they end up giving you, I believe, 2 color choices for for free of charge, or they come with the standard base price. And then if you get red, which I believe is the most expensive color, that's an additional $2,500. So we're not saying Fisker is going to do this, but they certainly could. And I actually talk about that in this particular article. So if you were to go to Google and you were to type in Fisker Ocean color options or Fisker Ocean color availability or whatever, I go through kind of what could happen. And I ended up deciding, which is just me, Sean, that wrote this. It's not Fisker. I'm going to make that clear. But based on what Tesla has done, based on the different finishes and colors, that's how I ended up coming up with what I believe Fisker is going to actually charge. And Fisker may give away all these colors for free. They might be all included. And if and when we find that out, I'll update this article. So I wrote this article back when there was 33,000 confirmed reservations. So that's quite a while ago. And the funny thing, it's actually not that long ago. That was in March 15th.
They also could do something what a lot of like the major manufacturers do, that the higher trim the paint there's not an upcharge. If you get a lower trim, you might have an upcharge.
Correct. That's right. That's what they're doing with the Fisker Ocean One. And that's what I mentioned in that article. So it's like if you get the Ocean One or you get the Extreme, certain features obviously come standard. Whereas if you get a Sport and you want Big Sur blue, that's going to be a very premium color where they may charge you more for it. So that's how that works. And is the matte finish, Cole says, is matte finish difficult to maintain? Well, I've never owned a matte car, color car. I don't know if you have, Jim, but I think we talked about this last week. I don't think you have either, right?
I've never owned one, and I said last week that I detail cars, and I haven't had to deal with matte paint, but I do know that there are special products for the matte paint that you can't just use standard waxes that you would go buy at Walmart or anything like that. I mean, you want to find a company that specializes in matte paint, and I wouldn't run it through a car wash. I wouldn't run it through, unless it's touchless, that's the only way that I would run it through there. And then immediately afterwards, you're going to want to dry it and wipe it down. Don't use any of the, hot waxes or anything like that from the car washes. To me, it's just too much stuff and too much of a hassle. But anybody who really does want to do that, look into it. Check on what you would possibly need. And maybe it's not as bad as what it seems. I'm sure there's some people on YouTube that deal with the matte paint. So just look up matte paint, matte paint care.
And I did
YouTube,
that for you already.
Talk about it.
Yeah, there was a question like that posted to the Fisker Audi forums, and I ended up finding, because I had no experience, I did some researching, and there was a company that actually makes the car care products called I think it was called Mr. Beasley's or Dr. Beasley's, something.
That sounds familiar.
And they ended up saying this is kind of the complete guide to taking care of matte paint. And granted, they're trying to sell their car wash products, but the information in it was super informative. I just posted that link in the chat here for the people who are interested in Big Sur blue and that matte finish. Maybe you can get some ideas of how to take care of the car.
I think Kyle Connor's dad, Dave, when he got the Ioniq 5 and got that shooting star matte paint or whatever it was, that silver, and in his trunk. Now I don't know if it came with the car from Hyundai or if it's something he bought and just had in the car, but that Mr. Beasley's is what he had, and that's what he did a small little demonstration on what you need to do and kind of talked about it. So I don't know if it was something that he had or they were sponsoring him or something like that. But that was a product that he talked about, and he did a little thing on it. Not as much detail as I probably would go into it because I worry about that stuff. I'm like, you got to do it this way. This is how you have to do it. There's no don't. I'm just that way. I'm kind of particular when I detail my car. So.
I used to be quite nitpicky with the paint and detailing cars. Now our car stays dirty for so long, and you're gonna laugh at this one. Every time, and it doesn't. I'm in San Diego. It doesn't rain that much, But when it does rain, I actually go outside and wash the car in the rain, just for the heck of it, just because
it's easy.
wet. It's actually quite fun. I actually enjoy it. But we run our car through a local touchless car wash.
Yeah.
And it's like $10, and that's what I read for. I don't know why, but that without the brushes and the bristles going, that's like the best kind. But unfortunately, that doesn't really get a lot of the stuff off the car.
No.
But
No,
yeah, I used to be like you, super fanatical about detailing.
Well, I mean, I use automatic car washes, and I use the ones that they do have some brushes and stuff like that. But I'm particular kind of which ones I use.
Okay.
But I've never had all these people that get all these scratches from this stuff all over their cars. I don't understand where they're getting them from, because when I run my cars through there, I don't end up with all these scratches. I go back and I'll take the one time or two times a year that I go and detail the car. I don't see any scratches on my paint. So I don't know where they're getting them from.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Brian Moore, thanks for joining. I see him on a couple different places.
Kevin, I think we talked about this last week too. I'm not sure where the washer fluid is being put in at. I don't know if that hood opens or not. I haven't seen it open yet.
Yeah, we will let you know as soon as we can fill up the wiper fluid. Somebody did a funny post on the Fisker Audi forums about wiper fluid. They said, "Where does the water go?" And they meant the wiper fluid, and it was a long string. People just kept pushing it back to the top of the forum. It was quite funny. It's some of the stuff's comical that comes in there. As long as people are respectful, it's anything can fly. So it's great. It's really nice to see stuff in there. What other questions do we have, Matt? Blah blah blah. Can I find the other ones in here?
The frunk, which we don't know about a frunk either. I haven't seen anything about it.
Well, there won't be one. That is definitely bolted down.
Okay.
We know that one. It will open up for servicing if needed, as we've seen in some of the photos with the engineers or the technicians at Magna. They're opening it up. They're doing some fine tuning on the assembly line during the low production. But yeah, we're not going to be probably opening it. I'm sure you could open it. Maybe you will, just for the heck of it. Maybe we will.
Just for the washer fluid.
Yeah, just for the washer. But just to see what's under there. Might be interesting.
Well, and like our ID4, we don't have a frunk on ours either. But what is sitting right up top there is the HVAC system. So if you want to change your cabin air filter, it's actually right there underneath the hood or right on top. You just pull it out and put a new one in it.
Very nice.
So, and then the washer fluid is in there.
Now, we should have done this at the very beginning of this. We're approaching, I don't know, an hour, just over an hour and a half. I'd like to know, and I don't think there's a way to do a poll in here, but it would have been good at the beginning to do a poll and pin it somewhere. How many people that are watching have actually pre-ordered a Fisker Ocean One? Since that's what we were talking about, we've kind of gone off the subject now. Right. But if you started this video at the beginning, you would have known that we covered the what's up with the Fisker Ocean One. Now we're talking about washer fluid and the front and all that stuff. But I think we've gotten to the live question portion of the show. And it'd be interesting to know, though, going back, if we could go back an hour and a half, how many people actually, it'd be interesting to know how many people haven't ordered a Fisker Ocean One, a pre-order. Rosanna did. Congratulations.
One person. I don't know anything about ventilated seats, heated and cooled seats in the upper trim.
I haven't heard about ventilated seats, but one thing I did learn, which was new news to me, is Fisker actually offers two types of seats. You may be familiar, Jim, with the Eco Suede option, which is what we see in every photo. That's that's the Malibu and the Sea Salt. Those are Eco Suede. Now, this was new news to me until I read it in the Q&A, and somebody was saying cloth seats or fabric seats are awful with dogs. And what other options do you have? Well, the black interior, the black abyss, that's called that's the term that they're using is eco leather.
Oh.
Huh. That's the first time since I've been doing this, all the way back to February 16th, actually writing articles and reading as much as I can read. As I like to say everything, but I know it's not everything.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that term.
I haven't either.
Maybe I've glossed over it, and I'm like, oh, eco leather, what's that? And
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either. So that was news to me. I learned that earlier this week.
That kind of changes things.
Yeah, it is pleather. It's like a pleather, yeah.
It kind of changes things, though. I mean, I was looking if it's certain colors, or if it's just like the Black Abyss is the only one that's like that, and the other ones are more of a cloth material, then really that changes everything, because I mean,
how so? Tell me.
A lot of people aren't going
to. You're learning something new here. Let's hear it. So the Eco Suede is a nice fabric-ish feeling. Maybe it feels like suede, right? But it's made of plastic bottles and recycled fishing nets and other recycled plastics. I would have to imagine the Eco Leather is also going to be made with fishing net, reclaimed fishing nets, maybe even plastic bottles, maybe some recycled or upcycled T-shirts. I'm not sure what the blend is of the material, but we've been told that it's a sustainable interior. And Fisker actually mentioned sometime in the last week, he said that each Fisker Ocean includes 100 pounds of recycled and biodegradable materials.
Which is
so that's going to be a part. Go for it.
I was going to say, which is, I think they said, is twice the amount of any other. The highest vehicle with the recycling thing, that is double that amount.
Very nice. That's going to be a part of that ESG report, that detailed ESG report.
Yeah.
We're going to know not only is the car manufactured in a CO2 neutral factory in Graz, Austria, that's the Magna, but also it's green, or it's sustainable, or it's environmentally friendly for all these other reasons. And we'll probably know exactly how many water bottles go into the interior, or how many reclaimed fishing nets go in there, or upcycled T-shirts, etc. So that'll actually be quite interesting. I can't wait to see that report, because that's one of the main reasons why I follow Fisker and reserved or pre-ordered the Fisker Ocean One.
Yeah, I'm guessing that whenever you get into that final confirmation of what items you're going to get, and you make that, I guess you can fine tune it right before. So that's probably when you'll probably decide your interior, whether you want the Eco Suede or you want the Eco Leather. Hopefully that's all three color options are offered on both, because I really like the sea salt a lot better, because it just makes it feel brighter inside. But if it's only the Eco Suede on that sea salt, I'm not sure that we'll do that then.
Do you have dogs or pets?
I do, and we don't generally take them too often with us. But I mean, I'm not worried about the pet thing, but I think with the Eco Suede and the light sea salt color, I think you had made the comment that you'd be worried about it getting dirty, easy. But if you got the leather, it's a lot easier to clean off.
Yeah, I would have to imagine the Eco Leather is going to be very much like the Tesla premium, they could say premium interior. I would have to imagine it's going to be very similar to that. But maybe not. Maybe it's going to have a slightly different texture, seeing as that it's including recycled materials. I have actually, I don't know. When I wear, as everyone probably knows, aside from this shirt, I wear a lot of white shirts. In my closet, I have a ton of just white shirts. When I buy shirts, I buy them in bulk, and I have 24 of them, and I just kind of cycle through them. So if people are watching videos and go, geez, that guy wears a lot of white shirts in every video, that's the reason. But the reason I bring these shirts up is they're Hanes shirts, and they're made with recyclable plastic water bottles. So single-use water bottles, that's what these shirts are made of. And I thought, wow, the last time I bought them, I thought, I'm going to try these out. And believe it or not, it feels really nice. It feels this is 100% cotton, and those are cotton too. But they somehow blend recycled water bottles into the cotton fabric. I don't know how they do it, But that's clearly what we're going to find out in that ESG report for Fisker. So
that's awesome.
That'll be quite neat. Yeah. So should we call it? This has been fun.
Yeah, I think we've covered just about everything for this week. If you guys have any other questions, down in the description, this video will pop up. If you guys want to go back in there, then you can leave comments. I believe you can leave comments there after the fact.
You can. And thumbs up it after we end the video.
Yes, make sure you guys go in and like the video.
Yeah, because what happens is when you like a video during the chat, I don't think it actually adds it to the video after. Yeah. Certainly the comments don't show up. Like you have to watch the video to get the comments. So if you want to post comments after, Jim and I both go and respond to the comments. So please add as many comments as you like. We look at all of them. And I want to thank you for being a part of this live stream tonight and talking about what's up with the Fisker Ocean One. Maybe now we know maybe a little bit better than we did an hour and 45 minutes ago what's up with the Fisker Ocean One, right?
Right.
Yeah. We delivered on our promise, Jim. We did.
Yeah.
We told them what it was about, and we did it tonight.
And we learned some stuff along the way.
So. We did that too. So thank you, everybody. And if you like these, let us know, and maybe we'll do another one next week. So.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.